Jake Paul versus Tyrone Woodley, yeah? This Sunday, only on pay-per-view. Where are we in this world now? It's peak. I tell you, it is very peak. So let me ask you a question. Who watching this video is not going to watch any of that fight? Okay, so you might not buy the pay-per-view. You might dial out of Twitter real time and Instagram. But on Monday morning, GMT, which one of you isn't going to watch the highlights or the knockout or the repercussions or the wave across all social media platforms? Oh wait, none of you, all of you be watching it. At some point, you will consume a YouTube clip or you'll watch it on Instagram. You'll check it out on YouTube. That fight will touch everyone that watches mixed martial arts, casuals or otherwise. That fight at some point will touch you. So wide is the Jake Paul / Logan Paul social media net. It is just the truth. So how at this stage can we make the case that Logan and Jake Paul, the Pauls, these viral YouTube brothers, aren't good for boxing and boxers and combat sports? How can we make the case? For all of the travails, they're high-level trolls, right? You see the Pauls, how they stay. You see that they're very high-level trolls and they've leveraged this to ultimately get their crazy YouTube success. Logan went to Japan and took the piss out of Japanese men and women committing suicide. Bang out of order, preposterous, but ultimately massive hits on YouTube, right? They don't care. They're trolls. Jake Paul trolling Floyd, not even fighting Floyd, trolling Floyd Mayweather at the Mayweather Logan Paul press conference, talking about, I've got your hat. I've never, in 50 fights, I've never seen Floyd Mayweather so pissed off. Conor McGregor called him a Maltese ahead, talked all this crazy racial stuff. Floyd didn't even flinch, called him boy. Floyd didn't flinch at all, managed it. So how come these dudes, Jake Paul specifically here, are so good at trolling and so good at getting underneath people's skin? Is that a talent even? Can you call it a talent? You know what? To monetize it, how can you say it's not a talent? These dudes, Tyrone Woodley in particular, will be loving Jake Paul at the moment. He might be getting his biggest payday. Let's have a look at the numbers. The Askin fight did 1.5 million pay-per-view buys. That's mad. I'm sure Golovkin and Canelo only did 1.1. What are we doing here, lads? These numbers are ridiculous. There's only a couple boxing matches that have ever done more numbers than that. So he's got 20 million subscribers on YouTube alone. This is just Jake Paul I'm talking to mine. 7 billion cumulative views, still going up. 16.9 million followers on IG. What is going? These dudes have cracked the code. How could I be a fighter on poor pay from either a boxing promoter or worse still from the UFC? You know how Dana White's going on with fighter pay. Jared Cannonier, Miesha Tate, Cyril Gane, all talking about it recently. How can we say that this dude is bad for combat sports when his bouts are doing numbers? Tyrone Woodley is laughing. Okay, so he might not be laughing at the moment on the back of the Jake Paul crew cursing out his mom. He's not going to be loving that. But come Sunday night, Monday morning, when he looks at his paycheck, he's going to be laughing. How at this point can we argue that these guys are bad for combat sports? They're bringing more eyes to it. That's just the bottom line. For all of the trollery, for all of the madness, for all of the melee, for all of the stepping over the line that they do. Japan, the way they're cursing Tyrone Woodley's mom, the way he's coming at Jorge Masvidal, got your hat. How can we say at this point that they're not good for boxing? They're not good for fighters. Although it begrudges me to say, I really feel in my heart of hearts that this is a case of a rising tide floats all boats. These fighters have to be happy for the presence of Jake and Logan Paul and even KSI in that space, because ultimately this is about the greed, and these guys are getting fighters' paychecks. Fighters whom hitherto have been underpaid, especially the ones in the UFC. 20% of UFC revenue, that's unheard of. Why are they getting paid so low? 50% is bog standard in MLB, NBA, etc. UFC dudes are getting 20%. Of course Logan Paul and Jake Paul are good for business. Fighters will be chomping at the bit. I suppose the problem is when you look at the lower tier buds, they're not going to be happy. Your Bobby Greens aren't going to see any of this money. He's not going to be happy at this. And nevertheless, when you look at the top tier lads, they'll all be clamoring for a fight with one of these brothers. Jorge Masvidal, anybody with a decent name, Conor will be onto this soon. Don't doubt it that the sun timer is running here. Conor will be onto this soon because he realizes how to maximize his paycheck, and that's what it's always been about. In summary then, I think these guys are good for combat sports. There's always going to be downside with them. I mean, it's rumored that Tyron's due to get a guaranteed 1 million from this, getting pay-per-view and everything. He'll never have seen that money in the UFC. So talk to Tyrone Woodley and tell him that the Pauls are bad for combat sports. Talk to Daniel Dubois, talk to Amanda Real Deal Sedano on the co-main event, talk to any of the dudes on the undercard. How are you going to go and tell them, the fighters, guys and girls that are risking their lives, that the pools are bad for the sport? It's hard, man. You're not going to be able to. And the reason why you're not going to be able to, because they're not bad for the sport. People are getting paid off these guys, and you've got to respect that. The ability to monetize their trollery. That's been another video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, I've been Cameron. See you on the next video. Peace.